Good afternoon, everybody. Big Mike back here with you once again. Welcome back to Big Mike Talks, where today I'm going to be reviewing the week that was in pro wrestling. That includes NWA Power and AEW Dynamite. Sorry, no Collision for this week. I was very busy taking care of a few dogs. So that took up a bit of my time. So it's just going to be Power and Dynamite for this week. So, hope you're ready for a good one. Because we're going to sit back, relax, and get into it. Starting off with NWA Power, in which we have the semifinals to the Crockett Cup Tag Team Tournament. And we actually show some highlights from the previous rounds, which is very interesting. I definitely appreciate that from the NWA. We start off with a very interesting matchup. We have the Colognes, Epico and Primo, taking on EC3 and Pretty Boy Smooth. And, Pretty Boy Smooth pretty much dominated the Colognes early on. Eventually, they did get an advantage. But then we got this weird, right in the middle of the match, right when they went to commercial, we get a kind of promo from Rhino hyping up his match for next week with Tom Latimer. Then we get a Tom Latimer promo hyping up Kobe, saying he fought his way to get to this point. And Rhino, you go your way to your top, but I'm going to leave the 2300 arena with the title. And you're just going to have to deal with it. So, I'm going to say this. These promos right in the middle of matches, right before ad breaks, it really does this weird thing to the flow of the match. Like, it's just really, really awkward. And I hope NWA works on this. Because the promos are really good. But it's just the placement of them is so weird. Anyway, so we go back to the match. Colognes have a bit of an advantage. They keep tagging in and out, taking some shortcuts at least. Eventually, Pretty Boy Smooth does get advantage back. Tags in EC3, hits a TKO on Epico. Then a cutter on Primo for a 2 count. Then Epico, on the other side of the ring, he has a chair. He's about to get in the ring. Then Pastor CeeLo, who I guess is the GM of whatever promotion EC3 is running, grabs the chair out of his hand. Then the ref sees CeeLo with the chair. He gets thrown out. And as the ref's distracted, Primo with a low blow to EC3. Then a double backstabber for the win for the Colognes. And honestly, I feel like that was a very creative finish. It's I don't want to say creative. We've definitely seen stuff like this before in wrestling. But the ways the Colognes have won these matches underhandedly, I think it works for their character. And now with their cousin / brother, Carlito, a free agent, I don't know, maybe NWA gets him involved somewhere down the line. Anyway, then we see backstage, Max, it's something from last week. Max the Impaler is just intimidating the rest of the Lost. It looks like she's about to be embraced. They are about to be embraced by him. I'm sorry, I did not mean to do that. Then they walk over. We see Father James Mitchell Looks like he's happy to see his old ward. Then he throws a fireball right into their face, which is wild. I've never seen... that was a really interesting fireball spot. There was definitely some shit-talking, but I didn't really catch all of it because everyone was talking way too fast. But I'm not sure what this entails. Are the Lost going to be indoctrinating Max the Impaler? Is Max the Impaler feuding with the Lost? Because either way, I think that'd be a really good story. And actually, speaking of the Lost, we get an Alex Misery promo. He's out behind wherever in the 2300 arena. He's outside. And he's saying, the Lost have been overlooked for far too long, but not anymore. The Lost has been found, and I'm ready to dismantle whoever steps in my way. And if you're lost, don't get left behind. Which, that was a really, really good, intense promo from Alex Misery. I'm not sure if this, stamps him as the leader of the group, but I feel like this is positioning him kind of there. Anyway, so then we cut to Uncle Silas's watering hole, which is a kind of bar they've been using as a backdrop for certain things. And we get a long table. It's the not the Southern Six, the Country Gentlemen sitting at their own section. Then Mims and Thurlbilly Silas Mason in the middle. Then the Page family right at the end. And we see Joe Kazana. He's talking himself up, saying, without this, none of these people would be here, blah, blah, blah. And then we hear AJ complaining, you realize we gotta pay $30 for a burger here? Which, that's just a funny little moment. Then we cut to the Page family, in which Kenzie is just irate. She looks like she's about to get up and just slap Joe Kazan in the face. But then, I forget the name of the dude. He's the one who's kind of with the Kazanas, but is not really a member. Saying, look, why don't you sit tight? We'll sign some autographs, whatever. Then we cut to, in the middle, Mims and Thurlbilly Silas Mason. They're just kind of arguing about, oh, you lost last week to Hammerstone. You don't deserve this title run. Then Thurlbilly saying, well, now you're looking at the next NWA World Champion, and I can sign faster autographs than you. So they got a couple 8x10s in front of them, and they just start speed signing them. Which, I'm going to say this. I like the idea of this, but I feel like it was so broken up that it could have been, all these segments could have been their own thing. Like, this doesn't need to be one big segment. Instead, I feel like it could have been its own separate segments, especially with what's coming. But before that, we get a little Tom Latimer versus Kobe Carino versus Rhino hype video. We're going to see a triple threat world title match next week, which I am all for. Next week, this week, tomorrow. So, sit tight for that. Then we get a recap of Alex Hammerstone's NWA debut, taking on Thurlbilly Silas Mason, with the Thurlbilly getting aid from his Southern Six teammates. Then we get a Thurlbilly Silas Mason promo. He's outside the 2300, And he pretty much screams, "I told you I can't be stopped, not even by Hammerstone. The difference between us is when I get hit, I get back up. But when you get hit, you don't move. And Tom, I know you must be aching. And I'm ready to take my crown as champion. I know it's getting to be a bit heavy for you to hold. The man who is going to beat you is me. And in New York, I'm going to take it from you as the new World Heavyweight Champion." Yeah, that's going to be an interesting matchup. Can't wait. But then we get a little Colby Corino promo, which is kind of a part of the hype video that was shown earlier, which was very strange. Anyway, so Colby says, "Finally, I get to challenge for the NWA title in an arena my father helped make famous." His dad is Steve Corino, and he was a big part of ECW back in the day. And if you don't know ECW, I'm going to say go look it up, because I cannot really explain ECW that well. Anyway, so Kobe continues, "Next week, it's not about my father, it's about me proving that kingdoms need to die for the prince to take his throne." At least I think that's what he said. Like I said, the NWA people talk way too quick for me. But yeah, I understand what the point he's making. He wants to get out of his father's shadow, and he's going after the big one. So, Fine Alamo, we got our main event for Power, and it's the other semi-final match for the Crockett Cup, as we got the Immortals, so that's Odinson and Kratos, taking on the world champions Nox and Murdoch. And it pretty much started out as a couple, if I may quote Big E here, big meaty men slapping man meat, some frequent tags back and forth. One point, Kratos and Odinson go for immortality, but that gets blocked. Nox and Murdoch hit a high-low on Odinson. However, he was not the legal man, so the ref doesn't count. They then, Nox and Murdoch then hit the high-low on Kratos. Go for the high-low on Kratos. Kratos gets moved by Odinson. Misses Kratos with a cutter. Only for a 2 count. Then Murdoch with a very unusual low blow to Kratos. He then grabs his entrance poncho, which that's funny as hell. Starts choking Kratos with it. At that point, the ref's out of the ring. I guess he got low blowed, which is interesting. Then Nox and Murdoch's ally, Eric Smalls, who is a small person, he gets in the ring. He tries to talk Murdoch down. It does seem to work for a minute, until he gets up. Murdoch just kicks Smalls right in the face. Murdoch then stomping a mud hole on Eric Smalls. Then Nox kind of pulls Murdoch away. It looks like he's going to be the voice of reason. He takes one look at Smalls, and then he just starts choking the life out of Eric Smalls. At that point, the ref gets up. Odinson tags in, and then hits a roll-up on Noxie to pick up the win. So, I'd say a little bit overbooked, but I like the idea behind this. With Nox and Murdoch now heels, I think we can see some more interesting matchups. Especially if the Immortals are going to get a title shot coming soon. Because they just beat the tag champs. So, yeah, we got the Colognes versus the Immortals in the finals for the Crockett Cup. I believe that's coming this week. So that should be that's good. Tomorrow's gonna be a fun card. That should be definitely be a fun one. So that was Power, a very interesting episode. Like I said, NWA going to commercial via promos, interrupting matches a little weird. Excuse me. But overall, I felt like it was a very entertaining episode. And it leaves me ready for more. And next up, we got AEW Dynamite, again from the 2300 Arena in Philadelphia. And we first see the announcers running down the card, in which originally it was supposed to be Taz's induction into the 2300 Hall of Fame. But apparently that happened before the show because Taz didn't want to take away from the talent, which... That's why I love legends like Taz. They know what's up. So anyway, that gets interrupted by Gabe Kidd, who is looking for Darby Allin. And he says, "You're on my time now." Begs the question, "Darby, where are you? I know you're not up in the rafters because this place is way too small. Where are you?" Then Darby, from outside the crowd, gets in the ring, attacks Gabe Kidd from behind. Kidd initially fights him off, but Darby shoves him into the turnbuckle. Darby then bites the top of his head, hits a leg sweep into the barricade. Gabe Kidd attempts a powerbomb that gets blocked into a clothesline. Darby gets Kidd back in the ring, hits the coffin drop, goes for the coffin drop, that gets caught into a sleeper, but Darby breaks out of it. Then Yuta comes up on the apron. Darby immediately gets rid of him. Darby then with a big old coffin drop to Gabe Kidd. Then he goes under the ring, grabs a skateboard where the underneath bit is covered in thumbtacks. In which, oh boy, this is going to be interesting. So he goes for a shot on Gabe Kidd, who is begging for it. Then Yuta gets back on the apron. He tries to intercept Darby. Darby pretty much whacks him with it. Darby has Gabe Kidd lined up again. But then the other Death Riders come out. They surround the ring. They're getting ready to beat the hell out of Darby. Then lights go out. And the hook signal appears on the ceiling of the 2300. He makes his entrance, but he's taking his time. And he also kind of has the Death Rider uniform on. A plain white t-shirt. So I don't know if that's leading to something, but Hook and the Death Riders, I think, could be a very perfect fit. Anyway, so before Hook can make it to the ring, the Ops music hits. They ran right past Hook to fight off the Death Riders. And then Willow Nightingale from out of nowhere brawling with Marina Shafir. Then Darby Allin and Gabe Kidd are brawling in the back. Gabe Kidd leans Darby Allin on like a wood panel or something. Oh no, it was a forklift. He grabs a hammer from a toolbox, goes to hit him with it. Darby thankfully moves. So Darby walks over to this truck that's just sitting there, Kid looks like he's about to attack again. Darby with some powder right to Gabe Kid's face. Then Darby comes out with his rag with whatever chemicals are on there. Puts it over Gabe Kid's face. Gabe Kid falls over. Then Darby gets a body bag from out of the trunk, the boot of the truck, puts Gabe Kid in it, and then we see from the back, the body bag is chained to the back of the truck, and then Darby gets in the driver's seat and drives off. Which, honestly, that was a nutty opening to Dynamite. It kind of felt ECW-like. Like, don't get me wrong. It definitely had some AEW flavor. But it definitely reminded me of the openings for ECW. Which mostly would start in brawls. And then would lead to matches. And then we got a really interesting announcement that All Out, which is the upcoming pay-per-view, which is this... Is it? No, it's not this Saturday, it's the following Saturday, is going to be making its debut on HBO Max, which is awesome. That is so cool. Then we get a little hype video for Mercedes Moné versus Alex Windsor. And that leads us to our first matchup of the evening for the TBS title. We got Mercedes Moné versus Alex Windsor. I'm sorry, she's going to do that throughout this match. But I absolutely love it. And even before the match starts, this is something I really enjoyed. First, you see Moné making her entrance. She just has the TBS title around her waist. None of her other 8 titles are on her. She gets in the ring. We see them tied to the top rope in the ring, which, that's awesome presentation. That's great. I love that. Anyway, so we start off a little slowly with Alex Windsor looking for the sharpshooter. But Moné gets her feet in the ropes. Windsor with an awesome drop kick. And then hits then Moné in with a La Mystica. Right into a statement maker. But Windsor makes it into the ropes. Moné then with some knee tremblers. Windsor then locks in a sharpshooter from her back, which that was definitely really cool. Moné gets in the ropes, gets out with a hair pull, which that looked wild. Moné then with a powerbomb into the apron. Windsor with some clotheslines, a leg sweep, another clothesline for a 2 count. Windsor attempts the sharpshooter. That gets blocked into a blue thunder bomb for a 2 count. Then Alex Windsor locks in the sharpshooter again, but Moné fights out. Mercedes then locks in the statement maker. Windsor attempts to roll out of it, but that gets blocked. Moné with an awesome backstabber. But Windsor immediately with a pop-up powerbomb into a sharpshooter, in which Windsor and Moné roll to the outside. Windsor gets back in the ring. Moné just makes the 10 count. Alex Windsor attempts a clothesline off the top. Moné catches it, locks in a statement maker. Alex Windsor with a roll through. Then Moné with a backstabber. She goes for the Moné maker, but that gets blocked. Windsor with a headbutt and then a blue thunder bomb for a 2 count. Windsor looking for a superplex. That gets blocked. Monet with a Beal over the top, off the top rope. Goes to lock in the statement maker. Windsor rolls her up for a 2 count. Windsor attempts a sharpshooter. That gets blocked by Monet, who hits a roll up for the 1, 2, 3, and the retention. That was a crazy opening matchup. I do wish these two were given a little bit more time, but honestly, this was a great opening matchup. So post-match, we see Alex Windsor. She's extending her hand for a handshake. Monet's like, nah. She's about to get out of the ring when Alex Windsor attempts to grab her by the hair. Monet hits her with the TBS title, locks in the statement maker. And honestly, I did not see this next part coming. Then we get some very familiar music. At first, I wasn't sure who it was because I haven't heard this music in a long time. But Riho, the former first ever AEW Women's Champion, makes her return to the company and makes the save. With a stomp to break up the statement maker, turns around, hits a beautiful drop kick to Monet. And as Monet's recovering on the outside, Riho sees the TBS title, picks it up, and just looks over at Monet. You have no idea how happy I am to see Riho back. She is so dang underrated. It's not even funny. And honestly, almost immediately, we get that match for All Out. Yes, freaking please. Anyway, so then we're in the back with Samoa Joe and Powerhouse Hobbs. I have no idea where Shibata is. Like, I honestly am a little worried. So they were asked about their relationship with Hook. So Joe says, look, that's a great question. Along with myself, I'm going to have to go ask him. Then Hook walks up and says, look, you don't need to fight for me. You replaced me before my body got cold. Then Hobbs steps between him and Joe, saying, look. No, Joe then says, you're right. He did replace you, but because an opportunity came calling, and he stepped up. And we got business to handle. So then Hobbs says, you need to know at some point you're going to need our help, and know we got your back whether you like it or not. So, I'm not sure about the relationship between Hook and the Ops. If you remember, Hook was originally a member of the Ops. There was some rumor he was going to sign with WWE, but I don't think that ever really came to pass. So now, honestly, I'm going to say this. I kind of hope he joins the Death Riders. I think that would be a better fit for him. And then he could get his revenge on the Ops if he need be. So next up, we got a Ricochet promo. He's being seconded by the Gates of Agony. I almost called them the Gorillas of Destiny, but that's not them. Where Ricochet says, this is why the old heads don't get along. For you, it's business. To us, this is just fun. We're the ones who ended your reign as tag team champions, but unlike you, we aren't washed up. And we want to settle this like men in Toronto. And this isn't a challenge, it's a command. Ooh, Ricochet sending out the challenge to the Hurt Syndicate. Honestly, yes, please. And there's a damn good reason for these two to fight, because at All In, Gates of Agony and Ricochet cost the Hurt Syndicate the tag titles. And honestly, should be a fun matchup. Anyway, we go out to the ring for a promo by Mark Briscoe, and he gets a huge reception. And here's something I didn't know about the Briscoe brothers. Anyway, he starts his promo saying, "We are here on hallowed ground. This is where me and my brother first fell in love with pro wrestling, and it's been all guns blazing ever since. And right now, my focus is on Kyle Fletcher. So unfortunately, that involves sharing a conversation with Don Callis." Speaking of Don Callis, it looks like he dressed up like a flaccid dick on Halloween. That line got me good. That line got me really, really good. So anyway, Mark continues. "You say I had to beat another family member. I'm tired of waiting. Don Callis, when is my match?" So Don Callis comes out with Rocky Romero and Lance Archer, with Don Callis saying, "I have something important to say. Mark, I know that you're impatient, but I'm busy getting Josh Alexander and Kyle Fletcher ready for the main event tonight. We'll get to that in a moment. But your upcoming opponent for Collision is going to be Konosuke Takeshita." So this brings out Takeshita, and he's dressed to the nines. He looks so good. He comes out to the bottom of the ramp. He has a little stare down with Mark Briscoe. And as the Callis family together are walking off, Briscoe gets back on the mic and says, "I know you like messing with me, Don, but I put on my gear right now. I'm ready to go right now. So send me one of your goons." So at first it looks like Rocky Romero. He's getting ready to go. Callis puts a hand on his shoulder, points to Lance Archer. So Archer gets in the ring. Ding, 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 ding. We get our match. Mark Briscoe versus Lance Archer. And honestly, these two have a very underrated match. Really good back and forth. One point, Mark attempts the J Driller, but Lance Archer is just too big. Archer with a couple of shoulder tackles. Big old powerbomb. Hits the choke slam. Only gets a 2 count. Goes for the blackout. That gets blocked into a bunch of strikes and a middle rope drop kick. They trade chops for a while. Lance Archer backdrops Mark Briscoe and he lands on his feet. Briscoe was with some uppercuts. Archer attempts a choke slam off the top rope. That gets blocked by Briscoe, who then bites Lance Archer's head. Briscoe with a powerbomb off the top. Goes right back up. Hits the froggy bow for the big win. And honestly, I'm loving what Briscoe's got. He's definitely stepped up for AEW a lot. And he's definitely such an underrated talent. Although with where we're going for All Out, it's going to be interesting to see when he gets Kyle Fletcher. I'll get to that in a minute. So next up, we get a Toni Storm promo in which it's before the show starts, I guess. Because she's up behind the seats somewhere in the 2300. And she says, "Philly, lend me your ears. If these walls could talk, they'd never shut the fuck up. I promise to be the most batshit woman in the state, and I'm begging every woman on this roster to step up. Bring me your best, and don't worry, God doesn't judge. That's my job." I love just how crazy Toni Storm is becoming. The timeless Toni Storm character is just so good. And I just wish more people saw it. Anyway, so we then go backstage to an interview with Harley Cameron and Chris Statlander. With Harley kind of speaking for them, saying, "Oh, that match was nothing." Statlander, "All that's wrath is up here, but this is getting uncomfortable." Statlander then says, "Well, your wrath isn't in your mask." She then grabs the protective face mask of Harley Cameron, rips it off, and Harley kind of pulls a Kane when he first gets unmasked. Statlander continues, "It has been within you all along." Harley then with some kitty makeup, which that looks unhinged and great. She says this team is going to go right to the top. So for All Out, we want Bro Tito. So then Harley's trying to Statlander's trying to cover her mouth. Then in walks Wheeler Yuta and Marina Shafir, with Yuta saying, "You know the Death Riders have your back." Harley looks like he's about to stomp Yuta in the throat. Statlander holds her back, says, "Tell your friend we got the message." Yuta then kind of takes one look at Harley, says, "Look, I got a match." And he and Marina Shafir walk off, with Harley and Statlander looking a little puzzled. Statlander joining the Death Riders. Honestly, I would not see that coming. However, that challenge for Brodito's AEW tag titles, I think teases a little more than what we think. Because the rumor has it, we're getting some women's tag straps in AEW. Which I wouldn't mind. Even though AEW definitely has way too many titles, some women's tag team titles could be fun. And actually, speaking of the tag team titles, we get an AEW tag team title match, as we got Wheeler Yuta and Claudio Castagnoli of the Death Riders taking on the champions Bandito and Brody King, aka Brodito, who have been such a great tag team since coming together. And we get Yuta and Bandito to start. We get some mat wrestling from Bandito, which looked really good. Kept up with Yuta. Eventually Yuta tags out to Claudio. Bandito tags out to Brody King. And they just start hossing each other. Like, I'm talking big shots every minute. Eventually, Brody King tags in Bandito. They double team Claudio for a little while, hitting a suplex and a big splash, and then a senton. Bandito attempts a crossbody that gets caught into a backbreaker. Claudio then tosses Bandito to the outside, where Yuta attacks Bandito on the outside, gets him back in. Yuta with an angle slam, takes Claudio back in, hits a big old double stomp from the middle rope. Bandito attempts the Rana, that gets caught. But as Claudio is readjusting, Bandito counters whatever's coming, hits a code red, which that was impressive. Tags in Brody King, they just chop each other red. He then gets both his opponents in the ring, hits a couple big splashes, sends Claudio into Yuta into the corner, hits a cannonball on both of them, only gets a 2 count, brings in Bandito. Bandito with a big clothesline. King with a big kick. Bandito with a Hurricane Rana, sending Yuta into the corner. Brody King hits a big cannonball, with Bandito only getting a 2 count. Big old frog splash attempt from Bandito. Claudio moves, tags in Yuta. Yuta attempts a suplex. Bandito floats over, tags in Brody King, hits a couple of big old chops, and then a suplex. Tags in Bandito. But before Bandito can get a move, Marina Shafir comes around, grabs Bandito's boots. Then Claudio with some big old uppercuts, and then a drop kick. And then at that point, Marina Shafir distracts the referee. This brings out Moxley, who just takes out Brody King on the outside. That leaves Claudio and Yuta to pretty much decimate Bandito. But every time they make a pin, he gets his shoulder up. Including a giant swing dropkick combination that only gets a 2. Then for whatever reason here, Claudio distracts the referee on the outside, and then Darby from out of nowhere attacks Moxley from behind, which frees up Bandito to hit a couple elbows, gets a 21 plex on Yuta to pick up the win and retain their titles. And then at that point, Darby flees from the ring. Mox is right behind him, and the Death Riders follow him. As much as I would have liked a little bit of a bit more of a build to this match, that match was awesome. A bit overbooked, but I absolutely enjoyed myself. That was a great match from 3 great wrestlers, and honestly an underrated wrestler in Yuta. Yuta's honestly really, really good. So then that leads us to a very short but very impactful interview from Okada, saying Takeshita calls himself the Alpha, but I'm the top dog in the Callis family, bitch. So, like I said, short but sweet. I'm not sure who's going to be turning babyface. Is it going to be Okada or is it going to be Takeshita? Because either way, we're going to get that match. And I'm here for it. I'm seated for it. So then we get a Hurt Syndicate interview, and they're out in the parking lot, which is very odd. With MVP taking the lead, saying, "What happened to you guys? You turned around and kissed ass. So you're setting a terrible example for your 2 guys. But what you saw on Collision when the Syndicate walked into the room, we demanded respect. And yes, we accept your challenge for Toronto. We are going to hurt you." And then they leave. Again, another really short, sweet little promo. And here comes a very interesting one. We were meant to have a Copeland and Cage promo. Copeland came out first, but as he was getting ready to introduce Cage, out comes FTR to attack Cage from behind. Cage comes in, evens the odds. They brawl pretty much all over the arena. Security comes out, attempts to break them up. The brawl continues. They eventually do break them up, but then they come back together. Then the Ring of Honor locker room comes out, and they push everyone to the side. And as Cope and Cage are leaving, FTR looks at one of the ROH talents, hits him with the aided pile driver. But then another one of the extras, who is actually DPW champion Adam Priest, gets in their face and just starts going ham on Dax Harwood. Eventually, security breaks them up, and that ends the segment. Yeah, that's going to be an interesting one, especially with this next thing that's going to happen. Well, we're going to wait. We then get a Collision rundown, in which I am sorry I missed that. But then we get a Garcia versus Jon Moxley hype video for Collision. Then we get a Stokely Hathaway promo, and he's surrounded by FTR, with Stokely saying, "Guess who's back? And I can't wait until All Out to put you 6 feet under." And then Dax Harwood sees Adam Priest, brings him over, saying, "Look, you've only been on AEW TV once. How about this? You get yourself a partner, and we'll make you somebody." So, yeah, Priest and Tommy Billington teaming together. That's a hell of a combination. Again, sorry I missed that. But then we get our main event, and it's a big old 8-man tag team match, as we have Josh Alexander and Konosuke Takeshita of the Don Callis family, in which I'm going to say this might annoy some people. I do wish Takeshita came out with the G1 Climax trophy, because I feel like seeing him carrying that to the ring would be awesome. Although I do understand why New Japan wouldn't want Takeshita to do that, just in case it gets damaged. Anyway, their teammates, it's the Young Bucks, or as the graphic for their team name came up, "Oh, these guys again." Which, honestly, the trolling of the Young Bucks ever since they lost their EVP powers has been hilarious. And their opponents, a very interesting combination. We got Jet Speed, so that's Speedball Mike Bailey and Kevin Knight, teaming up with Kenny Omega and the current AEW World Champion Hangman Adam Page. And to say the history between Kenny and Hangman, woo! Interesting to see them teaming up. And this match was so good. So many combinations, including something that was actually teased in Impact during the pandemic. We finally got the match between Kenny Omega and Josh Alexander. Whoa, that was good. Although, one point near the end of the match, Young Bucks tag in, Kenny tags in Hangman, and they have a stare down a la their match at Revolution. Oh, man. Revolution 2021, I believe it was, for the tag titles. And honestly, everyone played a really good part in this. One point we have Kevin Knight going for the UFO splash, but Fletcher gets his knees up. Fletcher with a superplex attempt. Kevin Knight with a run off the top. Young Bucks with the super kicks. Josh Alexander with a big elbow. Young Bucks dive over the top rope to take out their opponents. Another couple of super kicks. Fletcher with a pile drive. No, Josh Alexander with the pile driver. Fletcher with the brainbuster to pick up the win for the heels, which I was very surprised by. So at that point, the Don Callis family attacks the faces after the match. Young Bucks brawl with Jet Speed to the back. Then we have out Lance Archer and Rocky Romero come out to join in the beatdown of Omega and Hangman. Don Callis sets up a chair open. Fletcher with a brainbuster onto it with Adam Page. Then Archer and Rocky Romero grab a table. Omega eventually does fight back a little bit, but the numbers are too much. Then Fletcher with a low blow. He gets him on the apron. Hits a brainbuster to the outside through the table. And at that point, medical staff come in. They're checking on Kenny Omega. Then we see Kyle Fletcher walk up to a prone Hangman Adam Page and says, "You're not my next target." I mean, I'm kind of paraphrasing because I didn't really catch all of that. But honestly, Fletcher versus Hangman Adam Page at All Out? Heck yeah, I mean, let's do it. So, yeah, that was Dynamite. A very kind of non-canonical episode, but I was very entertained by it. Like, that was a fun show. But honestly, I'm ready to be done with the 2300 arena. Let's go somewhere else with a more unique setting. So, yeah, overall, a very fun week of pro wrestling. Oh, and if you didn't know, SmackDown, Friday SmackDown saw the WWE return of AJ Lee, which, can't believe I missed that. But, yeah, it is what it is. Hope you have fun watching whatever brand of wrestling you're into. Next week, it's going to be more of the same. Going to try to bring you Power, Dynamite, and then maybe Collision. But overall, should be a fun week. Till next time, happy wrestling, everybody. Peace.